Hello and welcome to the Mirror Gaming Walkthrough, the weekly gaming news show. And don't refresh your screens. We were just live for the Nintendo Direct June 2023 event, but you join us now where we're going to be reacting live to that, having just watched it, myself and Scott. But joining us for today's show are both Jasmine and Scott. Again, thank you so much for joining both. How are you both? You all right?
Yeah, doing good. I think I am probably a bit of an outsider today, given that both of you guys are very big Nintendo fans, and watching you guys react to the Nintendo Direct, I kind of realized that I am a bit of a black sheep on the Mirror Gaming team and not a very big Nintendo fan. While you guys have both literally showed up in Nintendo shirts, like, come on, give me a break. Come on.
Scott, it's been a while. How's it going, mate?
Very sweaty, to put it politely.
Yep. Feel that.
There was a Nintendo Direct that I don't know if you saw. That's quite exciting.
Yeah.
So excited to react to it for the first time and kind of talk about it for the first time, and go over all the important details, and ready to get really upset whenever Jasmine talks, because she's going to bully my poor multi-million-dollar corporation.
We need some balance here on the walkthrough today, because I think the Nintendo Direct, as we just saw, was a little bit one-sided. You guys were really like, oh yeah, oh my god, this is so cool, this is so cool. And then me and Matt were in the chat talking about how these games look kind of bad. So I'm here to bring that.
We'll get into that. You might be surprised, Jasmine, because I've got some thoughts as well. But before we talk about that, let's roll that intro. Are you prepared to go public with your KD online, or
no?
Everyone thinks he or she is the best football expert on the planet.
You see it in the back page of the Mirror, deal agreed.
I think the most important thing is just to have fun.
What?
310? No, what button is it?
Well, hello.
We're ready to come for the W, yeah?
Ooh, 12.
Ooh, here we go.
If you can master second man press, you will defend 10 times better.
Today I'm going to be reviewing the PSVR 2 headset.
Hello again, join us on the Mirror Gamer Walkthrough, the weekly gaming news show. We have just streamed the Nintendo Direct. Myself and Scott reacted to it live, and I know, Jasmine, you were in the chat as well, so you caught all of it as well. Let's get some initial impressions then. Let's start with Scott as our resident Nintendo stan. Scott, out of 10, were you happy with what you saw? Was there any disappointments and any big wins? Give me your thoughts.
So I really apologize to whoever said this. I saw someone on Twitter just there, and they described it kind of perfectly. How good of a Nintendo Direct that was kind of depends on how much you view it as a kind of end of life Direct, because we can't be long off a Switch 2 now. And as a kind of like last couple years of the Switch thing, solid, very good. Like good ports, a new Mario. But as a kind of big, compared to some of the events we've had over the summer, maybe a bit lackluster in comparison. But there was still some cool stuff. I didn't expect a new WarioWare, which is always cool. And sadly, most of the big stuff get leaked. So yeah, I'm sure the new Mario would have been like, it was like that for me, but you know what I mean? I'm sure it would have been like huge if that hadn't leaked out beforehand, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The Super Mario RPG remake. But it was good. Could have been better. But overall, maybe a 7. Or no, we do stars on Mirror Gaming. Maybe a 3 or a 4. We don't do half stars, so that's kind of
3 or 4.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, but for a console that's entering its senior years,
yes, very much so.
All right,
Yeah. And what did you think of this?
Oh my god, get that off the screen now! I'm gonna get really upset.
You need to move to my clip. I feel like my clip captures the horror of that segment.
What this one?
Oh my god!
Oh dear, that's right in the middle of the The transformation as
He's
well.
got
feel
elephant
like-
feet and a normal head. Come on, kid.
They
Yeah,
had us
that's-
just long enough to get over the like body horror that was like some of the Super Mario Odyssey transformations,
Oh my god.
and right away, time again. Because like before, it was like, okay, now it's Mario, but he's in a suit that looks like a cat, or in a suit that looks like a. No, this is like human.
He turns
like,
into an elephant. He
Yeah,
grows a
this is
trunk
the
out
Fly.
of his head.
This is some Cronenberg body horror.
This is horrible looking. And they did it solely to jump scare people at the end.
I mean, they had to have a new transformation at some point.
Yeah.
Don't know if you know.
I still
Kinda-
remember when they announced the transformations for New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii, and it was like the helicopter hat and the penguin suit, and there's oh my god, like that penguin suit is so cute. And now this is what they're showing us now.
But that's what I mean. In the past, it's been like, oh, it's clearly Mario, but he's wearing a suit that looks.
What do you
like
mean
a
that's
frog,
clearly
or a-
Mario? He's wearing a red hat.
No.
What do you mean?
Like he's wearing a suit that looks like a frog or a cat or something.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is like
yeah.
that is Mario, but he is not the same person. He is not coming out of that transformation. He's a changed man.
What
Yeah,
ability is
absolutely.
he gonna have? Do you know what I mean? Like, because you know
Well,
the other
they
animals
showed
that they've normally gone
slapping
with, it's like
Yeah, it
there's
was,
like an ability.
He
So
was
he's got
like
a trunk.
he had like super strength from what I could see. Yeah, he was just like slapping people
As
out the way.
opposed to him normally, like he normally has super strength. He's a normal
Yeah.
man and he punches through walls. Do you know what I
I
mean?
mean, he's
Like,
only he's a plumber, so plumbers are quite built, aren't they? They need to be to get
I
like
don't
the
know how
taps and
built a
stuff.
plumber is that they are ground pounding through brick. Like
So who's this
piece
wee
of
guy?
I don't
That's
know
what
if
I
he
want to
needed
know.
to be an elephant.
Which wee guy, Scott? Which wee
The wee
guy?
guy at the end there. Those are not toads. Those are a new species in the Mario Kingdom. We're gonna get into Mario lore. 2
What?
hours straight.
Those
of
are
deep
toads?
Well,
Mario
this guy
lore
here,
discussion.
that's a toad,
That
isn't
is
it?
not a toad. He has not
What
got a
is
mushroom
that?
for a hat.
Yeah, but Toadette doesn't have a mushroom for a hat. She has like little
Yes, she
mushroomy.
does.
Yeah, but it's
She
not
has
a
the
hat.
mushroom hat, and then
She has
like, the
mushroom
ponytails.
braids.
She's a toad person. This is not a toad.
How?
mean,
That's
it's
a
the
toad.
same-
Look at the eyes. Look at the face.
Look at
Yeah.
I'm
The
pointing
same
at the screen as
noseless
if we can
face.
see. Look at Toad on the left side of the screen there.
Scott,
and then look
more
at this wee
more
guy.
point at the screen, please. That looks great on camera. Yeah, brilliant.
No,
Let's do
it is literally. That's a toad person. They've got the same eyes,
not
the
a
same
toad.
mouth, no nose. They've just changed their hat. They just changed their hat.
Gigi's in the chat. I agree. The eyes are different. Yeah, the eyes are different. There's a slightly,
No,
there's a
they're
slight, there's a
That's not a toad.
thickness to them. They're thicker,
Oh,
definitely.
you guys,
Also,
this is
those
the
aren't
same eyes.
hats. That's their head.
Well, you
That's
just
a
said it
toad's
was a
head.
hat. You just said it was a hat. You
Yeah,
said
but
that.
I'm generalizing.
Yeah,
That is the Toad's
yeah.
head. I don't think Toad can take that off. I think he would die.
Well.
Well,
So anyway,
yeah. If you join
Mario-
us now, we're just looking into if this is a new species in the Mario world. Thank you everyone for who's watching us. If you can like and subscribe, really appreciate it
the-
because we've got a great show lined up for you today with loads of different topics, including is there a new species and is that a toad? So if anyone has got any
Maybe
comments,
that's the Wonder Toad. You know, because it's got the Wonder seed.
Wonder
right?
Toad, right? Okay.
Mushrooms come in all shapes and sizes, says Will, and he's absolutely correct. I can't believe you're mushroom shaming in the Mirror Gaming walkthrough today. I'm really upset with you.
I don't think it's a new species. I have to say,
You think it's a toad?
I think it's a
that's
toad. Yeah.
not. She's got a skirt on.
So Toadette wears a skirt. Just because it's got a skirt, it doesn't mean that
Toads
she
wear
can't.
big baggy trousers.
It doesn't mean that she can't be a toad just because she has
Well,
a
we're
skirt
assuming
on.
it's she. Toads are genderless. Let's get that out of the way. That's
fine.
confirmed. That's the
They-
Mario lore.
They can wear
They're
a skirt.
wearing a skirt.
They can be wearing a skirt. That doesn't mean that they are a different species. Scott, do you change species when you change clothes?
Yes.
I'm pretty disappointed in you right now.
What I will say is that they don't jump as high as the toad.
Who's this wee guy? I
They
never
don't
noticed
jump
him.
as high. What? Who? Notice who?
That's a little
wee
caterpillar,
caterpillar.
I think.
Who's
I
this
think-
Where?
guy? Where
Where?
are the ends?
At the very end, when Mario is holding the Wonder Seed, a little caterpillar
Okay.
appears next.
Okay.
to
Let
him.
me. I'm going to try and pause it at the
This
exact
is
time.
the real important takeaway from the Nintendo Direct.
Oh,
today.
this guy here.
Wait.
Yeah.
Play it for another split second more.
Who's that
Oh,
guy?
I missed it.
Look.
Here.
Look,
Oh yeah, it's looking right at the camera. It's like a little caterpillar rabbit thing.
it's
That
just going to be to
changes
do with the
things.
Wonder Seeds.
That changes
Right.
things. This is blown wide open. The Mario
is-
lore.
this is
Mario
changing
Wiki
everything.
is getting updated as we speak.
Wow. So yeah.
Anyway,
but
Jasmine, how did you find it?
Yes, Jasmine. Let's come back to you. Thanks, Scott, for that transition. So, how did you enjoy the Nintendo address, Jasmine? What was your honest opinion?
I think Scott did summarize it quite nicely in that from the very beginning, you could tell this was a end of life direct. Like,
Yes.
the Switch is coming to an end. I am actually kind of surprised that I know that typically, Nintendo don't really announce like hardware at the Nintendo Direct, but I'm kind of surprised that they didn't even like hint at it or anything. Obviously, the big thing for me is that Nintendo are going to be at Gamescom, and they haven't been at Gamescom in a while, so I think that's when the Switch 2 announcement will come. And this direct has confirmed it for me more than anything now.
Really?
Because
That's interesting.
these, not that it will be at Gamescom, but just that a Switch 2 is coming probably before the end of this year. Because these games were like really lackluster. Sorry to all the Pikmin fans out there. I'm sure Pikmin is great, but I am just not. I didn't really like anything. They didn't even announce DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, and I know that probably will come, but I feel like Tears of the Kingdom is kind of like the last original Nintendo Switch game. Like the last big title that they're going to have released.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like everything.
Scott is not agreeing with that.
Did they not just announce a Super Mario game?
Yeah, I guess, but it wasn't like anything spectacular. It wasn't, Super Mario Odyssey, was it? Like, oh, I don't know that yet. It might be the next Super Mario Odyssey. Who knows? But it didn't look too exciting. It didn't look very like different.
What about Pikachu Detective 2? No.
I think when I was in chat and Miffy said, right, these look like mobile games, and then as soon as he said that, what came on screen was that new Pikmin minigame thingy.
Yeah.
That did not help Nintendo's case in confirming that they are making games which aren't mobile games. Because
yeah, that's true.
It is literally some of these games, like that farming sim that they showed off, that cozy game, whatever that was. But like they feel like Facebook games, where you like poke your friend and you're like, oh yeah, like come and sell me a bit of hay on my farm in farmland or something. Like they just do not feel like very big and aspirational and stuff. And I know what you guys are going to say. You're going to be like, oh yeah, it's because it's running on old hardware. I'm not talking about graphics. I'm not talking about, oh, this looks like a Facebook game graphically. I'm talking about the concepts. Like,
well, Mahin's in the chat. Thank you so much for joining. What did you all think? I thought it was a 9 out of 10 direct. Jasmine, we gonna have words about this. Nintendo's not really out here making big graphics games like that, though. And I think what I would say, Jasmine, is when have Nintendo, apart from maybe the Zelda series, but when have they ever focused on games like you're suggesting? I don't think they've ever really done that.
The Super Mario series, I feel like, is a bit more out there in comparison. Mario Kart, that type of stuff. And
but what could they do? What could they do?
Kart, but
yeah, what could they do more with Mario? Say there was a Mario Kart for the Nintendo Switch 2, right? What are they going to do more with that? It's going to look a little bit better, but it'll be sort of similar. Like I don't.
That's what all the Mario Karts are like. It's not going to stop me from buying every single one and playing them.
So what's the point in Nintendo Switch 2?
Courses. Like,
so what's the point of the Switch 2?
The point of the Switch 2 is to allow for them to make more first-party stuff instead of just revisiting the old series that they have. Because I get that these series are like great. Yeah, Legend of Zelda, amazing, big fan base. Mario, amazing, big fan base. Cool, they've done that. It's to sort of introduce new titles into their ecosystem, I think. And I think that all of the new titles they bring out are sort of, because that's what the hardware is for. It's like this cozy, you sit on the sofa, you play these cozy games, you can take it on the go with you. That is what the Nintendo Switch is for, so it makes sense that they bring out these types of titles.
Scott is absolutely Scott is physically
livid.
He's hurt. Livid. He just wants to say he wants to talk so bad. Scott, what is your response to that?
I'm not like mad about it, but like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, there's not been a Pikmin game in 10 years. There's not been a 2D Mario in 11 years.
In 10 years.
It's not like, it's not like they're doing, okay, here's The Last of Us remastered again, but for PS5 this time. Like, they are putting games out that people want. People want a new 2D Mario. People want.
I've not said that they're not. I've not said that they're not. I'm just saying they haven't brought out any new big franchises recently. It's just sequel stuff, which is fine. People want it. Like, I'm not saying people don't want the sequels, but I think the hardware is probably holding back their ability to bring out newer franchises, like long-lasting franchises, because Nintendo I don't think Nintendo should just be known for classics. I feel like Nintendo are amazing at making games. You can tell by the games that they bring out, even the sequels, that they are fantastic, really well received. There's a reason why Nintendo has such a big cult following. There's a reason why, because the games they bring out are fantastic. But they haven't invested into a new franchise in ages that has been like as successful as their older classic stuff. And I don't understand the reason why, you know?
Splatoon.
Splatoon isn't new.
Splatoon is new enough.
What's
Splatoon
new
is not
enough?
even- it hasn't even 10 years old yet.
That's pretty new.
Like Splatoon is like on the level now. Like Splatoon is one of their big hitters, and that's going to be a Smash Mario Kart type thing, where that's going to be on every console going forward.
The only reason you're saying that is because they showed off their little Splatoon League thing in that Nintendo Direct just to plot.
Oh
that
no,
in my head.
I do not like Splatoon. I do not like to play Splatoon, but people love Splatoon.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
do.
get
Yeah.
it. And maybe Square Enix's Foam Stars, that weird foam party game, will take some of the Splatoon crown. But
You know what I
yeah.
think is going to take the Splatoon crown? The Rhythm Battle Royale pigeon game. I think that is an absolute banger that they are bringing out, I will say. But genuinely, what even is that? Like
Fortnite Dead in the Water.
I am gonna find that, because that was amazing to watch.
It was so bizarre. The way that they just said the words, they were like, yeah, this is a Rhythm Battle Royale. They were literally just pulling like different genres of games out of a hat, and they were like, yeah, okay, rhythm game, cool. Okay, Battle Royale game, cool. Bang, together, done.
I'm trying to find it. Oh, here it is. I've got it. Don't adjust your sets. I'm pulling it up. There we go. There.
Mini games. Copy the leader's actions.
I feel like
I'm getting like a Fall Guys sort of like
yeah.
like a mini game that will have a short shelf life that people will play for a while with their friends and then eventually get over. And then it will have a few people that are cult following it, like Fall Guys does. But you know, people aren't going to play this for a really long time.
Yeah. But can I just say, this is a new.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, this is a new franchise of game that you like.
This isn't Nintendo though. This is Team 17.
Yeah, I suppose. Okay, yeah, fair point.
This isn't a franchise. Like, I wouldn't say this is going to be a franchise.
It will be.
Why not? Why not? What's stopping it, guys?
Fortnite is
right.
done.
Okay. Yeah. They're gonna have 4 Pigeons, 2 and 3 already trademarked.
I feel like we
and
missed
on next
out
year.
by not having the bit at the start where they go.
Oh,
this,
sorry.
Like, hyper-realistic pigeon, and then show one of those.
This is going to be a pretty cool party, I think they said.
Oh god.
Pigeons? Sounds pretty cool.
Sounds pretty cool.
Oh my god.
So this is a graphically realistic pigeon, and then it cuts into the game pigeon.
That is also what happens to me whenever I look in a puddle.
What, you turn into a game version of yourself?
Yes, I do. And then I start headbanging.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a certified pigeon fan. I do like a good rhythm game. But you know, well, we'll see how this does. GG in the chat going for Jasmine's neck.
Everyone comes to my neck. I have different opinions to the rest of the
You're
team.
wrong.
And everyone comes to my neck. It's fine. I can't. It's an opinion. Like I can't.
Yeah. So GG says in the chat, Nintendo innovates with hardware and software, but power isn't a focus. The games stand the test of time, regardless of a graphics contest. Arms and Splatoon are newer IP.
Graphics. I am not talking about graphics. This is the problem. I'm not talking about graphics.
I know you're talking about new IP.
Game, yeah, the graphics of this game, of this headbangers pigeon falling game, right? Cool. They look fine. They look great.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's for. I don't have an issue with it, but this is a game that you can play on an iPad. This is a game that I can buy an iPad.
But you can't though, because it's only on Nintendo Switch.
No, but it could run perfectly fine on an iPad and never.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Okay. But what I would say is that if you look at if you look at the Nintendo Switch, right, it is the third best selling game console of all time, only behind the PS2 and the Nintendo DS. The seven games that have held it up in terms of sales are Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Animal Crossing, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. They're all existing.
Sword and Shield.
I was going to say all bangers until
they're
all
bangers apart from the Pokemon. Ignore the Pokemon ones, but all bangers.
Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet are actually up there.
Yeah,
Damn.
but so if people, those are the games that people want. So, and if you go back to best-selling Wii games of all time, Wii Sports, Mario Kart Wii, Wii Sports Resort, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Super Mario Galaxy, Just Dance, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, Mario Party, Super Mario Galaxy 2, these are the games that people want. So
yeah, I know they're the games that people want, but those are the only games that they're bringing out. They're not bringing out new franchises and new IPs.
But do they need to?
As Scott said, they brought out Splatoon. It did fantastic. People loved it.
Yeah,
and they brought out Astral Chain, which has never got a sequel, but that was a new IP. That was only a couple of years ago now. That was a banger. Don't know if there's any Astral Chain fans. 1 in the chat, 2 in the world.
All 5
that was
of you.
very good. Aaron likes it, but Aaron's not here to defend me. So,
hi, Aaron.
You know,
Aaron is not here.
He's not here.
Aaron is on a train.
It's for when he watches it afterwards. Hi, Aaron.
Right, okay.
When he watches it in full afterwards.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got some more comments. Jasmine, GG says, Jasmine, also follow your heart. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
if that's your opinion.
Mean that because then she carries on bullying me.
Maheen also says, I'm drying with laughter. I guess he meant dying. Maybe he was shaking with laughter so much that he did a misprint. GG, if we're not talking about graphics, why are we bringing up iPads and iPhones? That is a good point. Actually.
Because I'm not talking about graphics. You guys know exactly what I mean when I say there's a style of game which is designed for mobile. There's a style of game. It's made and it's catered typically towards like either very young people or very old people. And that's what all of these Nintendo games feel like. They just feel like these style of like mini games with no like sort of expansion and stuff like that into like a bigger universe or whatever. They're just like a very base level. Like you open the game, you play a mini game, like that's it. Like literally, I love WarioWare. I love it. Okay, it's great. It's fantastic. I love the map that they made of it in Smash Bros. It's great. But what even was that? They can't even call them mini games because they're so small that they're called micro games. Do
you know what the first WarioWare game was called? Mega Micro Games. It's
I know. I know that's what they're like, but that's what Nintendo likes investing in.
Yeah, Mayan said exactly the same thing in chat. It says, I think Nintendo rarely come up with new franchises, and when they do, they put 100% into it and cultivate it slowly and bring it up to the size of its other ones, like it did with Splatoon. So exactly what Scott said. They kind of introduce things slowly.
None of the games...
Well, I'm waiting for the next one. That's what I'm saying.
None of the games on that stream had, like, JPEGs of anime girls that you spend real money to have
Persona 5
chance of getting. So none of those
Persona 5 remake did.
No, because there is a Persona 5 mobile game that does exactly that. But that's the thing. People on mobile don't care about games. You can play Pikmin on a phone. You can maybe run it on an iPad, but you can play. No one would play a game like Pikmin on a phone because it's not a microtransaction loot box anime JPEG simulator. So like. I get where you're coming from, but also I don't think that most of these games would fit in a phone. I don't think people on phones want that kind of game.
Well, I'm not talking about Pikmin in this instance. The mini game that they spoke about Pikmin for a little bit, but Pikmin is an established franchise. It's not as big as the other franchises on Nintendo, but it's established. I played it on the Wii. It was, it was fine. It wasn't one of my favorite Nintendo games of all time, but that's established in... Same as, like Mario, Legend of Zelda, Splatoon, established franchises. They're there. You're not really going to get those on like mobile, like with the exception of probably like a very mini Mario. But I don't know, like even with Animal Crossing, I love Animal Crossing, big Animal Crossing fan. Like carried me through lockdown. But that's also like you kind of would expect to be playing that on a phone. You're just running around an island and planting flowers and planting seeds and going to a shop. And, you know, like, you guys know what I mean as well. I know you guys know what I mean because Scott keeps saying, I get where you're coming from, but then proceeding to be like, oh, yeah, but this.
I'm being nice.
But I think the point is, I think Gigi says as well, that's another criticism that Nintendo games get for babies or old people. But ultimately, the games aren't for everyone, but they're still massively popular. I think the
can
point.
Acknowledge that.
Yeah,
but
I think
they just don't really
yeah.
resonate with me.
Yeah,
even though I played Nintendo a lot as a kid.
Yeah, I think the point is that Nintendo has never been about the games that you're saying they should make. If you see what I mean, they've always been that. Even if you look at some of the older consoles, Nintendo never have hardware that's on the absolute cutting edge of technology.
I haven't said that they should make anything. I'm just saying games like Zelda and Mario, which they've made, have expansive universes which are really cool and interesting and get you like invested into the franchise.
Yeah.
And a lot of their other franchises don't do that. And that's what I think they should do. I'm not saying they should make a type of game like anything, because Nintendo have a very like specific way that they make games, which has been successful for them.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about not making mini games. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Go on, Scott. Go on.
You had me until the end. What mini games? Like what are the mini games you were talking about?
Like
Mario's
the pigeon game.
That's not Nintendo though. That's just someone else. That'll be on PS5 probably. That'll be in PC. It'll probably be more popular on PC because people on PC like to play like, you know, free to play stuff because they don't like spending money. I mean, you know, I'm perpetuating a negative stereotype about PC gamers that they don't like buying games, but it's kind of true. Like that'll be on PC. That'll be in everything. That's not a Nintendo problem. That's a Fortnite, Fall Guys, Rocket League problem.
Or like that other game, what was it called? That farming simulator one. It was called like
Not
Pass.
Nintendo.
Something. Is it not?
No, that wasn't them either.
That's what they're showcasing. That's what they're showcasing in their Nintendo Direct.
Because people love farm games for some reason on these like directs. Like Fae Farm you talking about? People love Stardew Valley on the Switch. They love Animal Crossing. They love all these like nice, cozy, boring games, you know? So like
but those are all sort of like mobile-esque vibes.
Yeah,
you know, like
it's like
what if they've got a console that can run it and it's a dedicated gaming device? I mean, why wouldn't they put it on the device that they own? Because they don't own a mobile.
Well,
they're not going to give it to Apple to put on Apple Arcade.
Well,
because they want people on their ecosystem.
You could probably play Fall Guys on an iPad, sure. But like, you know, Nintendo has a market. Nintendo has people there. And Fall Guys is a bad example because they took like 4 years to get there on Switch.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm not disagreeing with any of the points you guys are making. I'm not disagreeing with any of the points you guys are making, right? I am saying that I want to see something different from Nintendo. I want to see another sort of expansive franchise, something that I can get invested in now, because I never got invested in these franchises when I was younger, aside from Mario. That's it.
Yeah.
I never invested in The Legend of Zelda. It was never really my game. I tried to get into it this year before Tears of the Kingdom came out, and I didn't like it. I never got into Splatoon. I'm not going to get into it now. You know, I'm sort of like, it's one and done now. Even Pokemon, loved it as a kid. One of my favorite games of all time. And the franchise has just gone straight in the bin. Even the remakes, which typically are what I play, because obviously for that nostalgic feel, you're playing a remake, you get the pixel art, you get all of that stuff. Even the remakes that came out on Nintendo Switch, I got Brilliant Diamond. I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to love it. And I didn't. Like, I put a couple of hours into it, and then I kind of just got a bit like bored, or like, I don't know what it was. I just didn't feel satisfied. I am just saying, I get it, but I just want something new from Nintendo, something that I can get involved in and feel as passionate about as you guys do with The Legend of Zelda, with other Nintendo titles, because I just don't have that.
That's fair
And
enough.
yeah, that's selfish, but that's why I'm here, because I'm giving my opinions, my selfish opinions that
And we
are
appreciate.
about me.
We very much appreciate that, Jasmine.
guess-
I don't
absolutely.
think you do. I think you
I
guys
know
are
I
really
do.
mean.
I do. I
think
know I
you
do.
guys are really mean.
I do.
The last thing I maybe want to say while we argue about this, and we can maybe move on to something else that was announced during that, is Zelda Ocarina of Time and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are like, they're like completely different ends of the spectrum. That may as well be a new franchise. If we didn't have the Zelda, obviously, if we didn't have the Zelda characters, it wouldn't be a Zelda game. But you know what I mean? Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild would have been a fantastic game regardless. It's not really a Zelda game. That was everyone's big complaint about it. Like,
yeah, if it was Jack and Jill instead of Zelda and Link, it would still have been a great game.
So, like, they do innovate. They're just, it's Ocarina of Time is a completely different experience from Tears of the Kingdom, and I would love to see another like classic Zelda. I would love to see, a new 2D Zelda, because even then, they're all so different from one another that yes, it's technically the same franchise, but the DNA and those games are like, I don't think they could be any more different. I've just seen one of the comments. No, they're still both. Yes, they are both Zelda, but like they are. You get what I'm saying.
But they're not. They're not
games.
different. Yeah, they're very different in terms of like the innovation that's within those games. I think is what you're saying. They've used the new hardware from 64 to Switch to create something a bit different and what they can push with that particular hardware. Yeah, completely understand. But yeah, I think it's just really interesting to hear because I'm very similar to you, Jasmine, in that in terms of like Nintendo franchises, I really only invested heavily in Zelda, really. But I look at I like you look at the fact that the Nintendo Switch has sold more units as a console than the PS3, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox 360, Xbox Series X, any other console apart from the PS2 and the DS. I look at that sometimes and think, whoa, like how can so many people buy that console for the games but they're enjoying? But
I think it makes sense
obviously a
that
huge
it's
market. Yeah,
so many consoles
Yeah.
because I think it is a very flexible device. It's made for anyone. There are people who wouldn't ever consider themselves like gamers who would still pick up a Nintendo Switch, especially because it became popularized during a period of our lives where we were, unable to go outside. We were stuck in lockdown, and loads of games for the Nintendo Switch came out just before lockdown started, which people were already probably on the fence about. Should I get a Nintendo Switch? Because that's what I was feeling like. I got my Nintendo Switch in 2019, end of 2019, just before lockdown started, because I was like, oh my god, new Animal Crossing games coming out. I'm going to get a Nintendo Switch. And then I didn't ever expect myself to play on the Nintendo Switch as much as I did, but then lockdown hit and I was on it all the time, and tons of people were buying them up. There was stock shortages everywhere. You couldn't get your hands on one if you wanted one. It was really difficult, and I think that definitely contributed to the sales of the Nintendo Switch, in that a bunch of good games came out which were catered to anyone. Anyone could pick up Animal Crossing. You didn't need to be like a gamer to do that. Anyone could pick that up. Anyone can pick up Mario Brothers. You don't need to be a gamer to do that. You can just pick up Mario Odyssey and have a really good time with it. You don't need any sort of like previous experience or skills or knowledge or anything. Same with Mario Kart, Smash Bros, type of stuff like that. But then that's where I feel like I draw the line when it comes to like Zelda, is that I'm sure that I could just jump into Tears of the Kingdom and play it and have a good time and stuff. But I don't know anything about the Legend of Zelda universe, franchise, characters, anything. I played Ocarina of Time for an hour, couldn't find the sword at the very start. The first puzzle that it tells you to do, I couldn't do it. I had to search a guide for it, finally did it, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, never playing this game again. Put it down and never picked it back up. But in terms of like the characters and stuff, I don't feel like I know them, so I don't really feel invested in that. And I feel like it'd be weird for me to pick up Tears of the Kingdom now. I'm sure I'd love it, because from reading reviews, hearing Aaron's video review that he did of it, it sounds like a fantastic game. But if I don't have that in previous investment in it, I feel a bit like left out compared to everyone else. So
I guess what I'll say to that is it's a bit different with Tears of the Kingdom because that's sort of a direct sequel. So, kind of killing my point a little bit. But, someone will play a Zelda game, any Zelda game. You can pick one out and it'll be someone's first Zelda game,
Mm-hmm.
So, like, obviously this is like specific to Zelda because you can't exactly jump into The Last of Us 2 without playing The Last of Us 1. But, like, that's the type of thing that I think Nintendo excels at, is that, the Switch will be someone's first console. Breath of the Wild will be the first Zelda game. Link's Awakening will be the first Zelda game. I don't need to have studied the tomes about what Zelda is. Sure, people who love, Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past or whatever will get more out of it because they'll spot, here's a reference to this, or here's a song cue from this. But that's, I don't know if I'm just giving Nintendo too much credit, but I feel like that is where they excel, where they just want people to be able to play a game. It's not like you could jump into Pikmin 4. You don't really need to know the lore. You don't need to know who these characters are and all that. That's what I think the Switch is so successful for anyway. Like, it's not, it's the way they approach games, which I think is, as much as like PlayStation exclusives are the big deal and the biggest, like they get the 10s and all that, it's a very, different beast, like, yeah, exactly what, exactly that with the comment. Nintendo is always more about gameplay. That's how it should be. That's what I think anyway. Like, that's how it should be. And I say this as someone, and we'll get on to it, favorite series of all time is Metal Gear Solid. None of that makes sense without playing the past ones. I get there's a place for it, but I think that's what makes Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch so successful and such a big deal, is because anyone can pick up, anyone can play Smash Bros. Ultimate. I mean, that's a bad example. That's a multiplayer game. But you know what I mean? Mario Odyssey. Anyone can play that. They'll know, okay, here's, this is a new Mario game. This is my first Mario game. What's this about? And they'll get an amazing experience, Same with this new Mario. I'm sure, like, this will be someone's first Mario game.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that when the Switch 2 comes out, first of all, how much backwards compatibility do you think they're going to have with titles that they bring out? And then secondly, do you think it's going to be anywhere near as successful as the Nintendo Switch has been? To either of you guys?
I think on your first point, they have to. They have to make it backwards compatible. It wouldn't make sense for them to not, because then you've got no strong reason to buy the new one, because you've invested so heavily in the original Nintendo Switch, and that's been out for such a long time. You've got a really big category of games that if you can't then play them on the new console, then that's going to be a huge deal. So I'd expect it to be backwards compatible.
So do you think they'll make it sort of like the Wii U or the DSi, where it'll be like a 2.0 where you can have the same cartridges and just stick to them?
I think so, yeah. And on your second point, I think that ties into what Scott said, in that the way what Nintendo do so well, exactly what Scott said really, is like every game that you get, even if it's within an established franchise, it's a great standalone experience that you could like Scott said, you could jump into Breath of the Wild, and if you didn't play Ocarina of Time, you're not missing anything that you'd need to know for that game. You could just play that, and that could be your first experience. So I think for the Switch 2, I think it'll sell just as well. I mean, the Switch has been a remarkable seller. I think it'll sell just as well as the original one, because you've got a new generation of people who are going to want the latest console, and they're going to be playing, again, the next Zelda game on the Switch 2. That'll be their first Zelda game, and that's when they'll get into the franchise, and they'll start playing the old Zelda games, and then I think that's sort of how it works. Does that answer your question?
I think, sorry to interrupt just before we get back to it. I think what they should do, Nintendo are a bit funny, so who knows, but the way the Xbox does it, where, Xbox One games are still being made, but everything will play on an Xbox Series X, everything going forward. Sort of like a 3DS, I imagine. It probably won't be as much of a success at first. But the thing with the 3DS was once that library was built up and more people.
I loved the 3DS. I think I will
Like-
say, hands up, 3DS was my favorite console of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely loved it.
Like 3DS year 1, terrible. Year
Mhm.
2, getting there. Year 3, I think.
Mhm.
2013, a year that had like The Last of Us and Bioshock Infinite and GTA 6. No console was doing it better than the 3DS in 2013. There were just so many bangers.
Yeah, I think people were waiting for the catalogue of games to be built up, because at that point it was like, why would I buy a 3DS over just buying a DSi, which is like half the price, or even still a standard DS, it's like half the price when
So
there's
that's
like
why
5 games on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Like that's what they should do.
But that's
Will
what I'm
they?
worried about, is that with the Nintendo Switch 2, if it does come out, is that will people even pick it up if they can just pick up a Nintendo Switch still? Because the Nintendo Switch is really affordable, and that's why I think another reason why the sales for the Nintendo Switch have beat out the other current generation consoles. A PS5 is like almost £500, and a Nintendo Switch is like 270, I think.
Yeah.
And then a Switch Lite is like 200 quid. Like, you can get the console really, really cheap. And then it is like the actual Nintendo Switch, not the Switch Lite, is obviously like 2 consoles in one. You get the handheld and the docked edition. So like it sort of caters to so many more people as well, as opposed to a PS5 and then whatever Project Q is going to be. Don't even get me started on that. But
they'll pick
will
it up.
people even upgrade?
They'll pick it up when a new Zelda comes out, or when a new Mario comes out, or when a new Mario Kart comes out. It's the best way to put it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that.
The games will justify the purchase. And while, you know, as much as I'm a Wii U stan at heart, you know, obviously, hopefully, they do not repeat the same mistakes as the Wii U. Hopefully, they're not like it's the Switch, the new Switch XL Lite OLED. Hopefully, it's just like here is Nintendo Switch 2. Here are the new games. Here's everything.
Yeah, I feel like the Wii U was an example of how it could go completely wrong, because I know like 3 people ever that had a Wii U,
and I'm
like
4 of them.
Like people never really upgraded to the Wii U because they didn't feel like there was a need for it. So I think that's what I'm a bit worried about, is are Nintendo gonna make this a necessity to pick up? And I like what Rocking Games Kid says in the chat. Says Switch 2.
Hi, Aaron.
That's so loud. Switch 2 will have exclusive first party games, he means, but still be back compatible with Switch 1. People upgraded to the OLED, so onboarding issues to a new console won't be an issue in my opinion. But that's exactly what I'm getting at. I feel like maybe it will be an issue because people have invested in Nintendo Switch, then the Nintendo Switch new generation, where they made it a little bit better or whatever they did to it. I don't even know what they did to it. And I still bought it because I'm crazy. And then the Nintendo Switch OLED, which I also have a Nintendo Switch OLED as well. I feel like I've invested, and I know people that have literally like all of those and a Nintendo Switch Lite. People who've invested really heavily into the Nintendo Switch ecosystem for whatever reason. I don't know why. People are just big fans of the consoles. I couldn't tell you why I did it. I just did. Are people going to think, okay, I've got so many Nintendo Switches, like, do I need a Nintendo Switch 2 now? Or are people going to think, oh, I've got so many Nintendo Switches, I need a Nintendo Switch 2 now?
I think that what they might do is discontinue the old Switch.
Do you think? All of them?
I mean,
the OLED, the Switch Lite, all of them?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Not that
surprise
Xbox
me.
is the best example, but
When have Nintendo ever had 2 consoles out at the same time in the same sort of generation?
home consoles, or like because they had like the handheld and the
but in terms of like
no.
absolutely mainstream console, like this is the best.
Didn't
console
you get the
Nintendo.
DSi and the 3DS at the same time?
Yeah, but in terms of
Yeah.
home consoles, they give up right away. Like GameCube to Wii, I think Twilight.
They just
Princess.
cut it off. It was a hard cut off, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the GameCube,
Twilight
can't buy the
Princess was
GameCube
last
anymore.
one.
Yeah,
Wii U to Switch, Breath of the Wild was the last game. So yeah, I don't, but I think the Switch is a bit of a different beast because
But that's
obviously
different. You guys are talking going from GameCube to Wii. That's 2 different consoles.
Yeah.
We're now talking about 2 of the same consoles, which are just like it's a new generation. Like the Wii and the Wii U, you could still buy the Wii when the Wii U was out. You can still buy the DS.
Yeah.
You can still buy the DS when the DSi was out. You can still buy the DS
I think
when the
if
DS was out.
they call it if they call it the Switch 2, I think they have to keep the Switch still. If they call it something else, they have the risk of having that Wii U situation where no one understood the branding of it and how it related to the rest of the products. But then they'd have to get rid of the Switch to get people to buy that new console. So they're sort of... I think this is why they're leaving it so late, because the Switch is still selling so much. They don't need to yet. It's only when they see, or they're getting word from the developers, they need more power or whatever. But so the Nintendo Switch was unveiled on October the 20th, 2016. And it was released on March the 3rd, 2017. So it's over 6 years old now. Nearly 7 years since it was announced. I think it might be a little while yet until we get a Switch 2. I think it still might be a while. If you look at how long it takes to make a Zelda game, for example, Tears of the Kingdom will be the last Zelda game on the Switch, 100%. The new Zelda game will be on the Switch too, but they've got another 6-7 years until the next Zelda game comes out, so they could just wait till then. It wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think that they'll keep running the Nintendo Switch for another 6 years.
Maybe not another 6 years, but they can carry it on.
Though, yeah.
They've got no need to at the moment.
When the 3DS came out, it was a year after the DSi XL, and also I think like 2 weeks later, Pokemon White and Black came out on the DS on its own. So I think it's going to be like they will still release Nintendo Switch games that are going to be playable on both, but they will have like exclusive Nintendo Switch 2 games, like probably, I don't know, Metroid Prime 4 maybe, or something like that. They'll need something big to get people in, because otherwise they're not going to really sell much units at launch. So
I mean, I don't think they're going to be selling a lot of units on launch anyway. I think people are going to, like you said, people are going to stick to the Nintendo Switch until there's a catalog of games built up for the Nintendo Switch 2, which they cannot access on the Nintendo Switch, which makes it justifiable to purchase. I don't see myself buying a Switch 2 on launch, and I'm a games journalist, and you guys are big Nintendo fans, you probably will, but I just don't see the need for it when it comes out, if I can just play all of the games that Nintendo have on my Nintendo Switch, on my 5 Nintendo Switches. Like,
I think that's the point. I think if they like Scott said, they need to have a game that people buy the console for. And like they've just released Tears of the Kingdom. It's going to be a while till there's the next one. And I was just having a quick look at the Switch, and it was interesting because I thought same as you, Jasmine, in terms of like most of their units were sold during lockdown. But they sold 3 million units in the first month, despite the projection of 2 million for Nintendo. Within a year of release, there was 14 million sold worldwide. And by the start of 2018, the Switch became the fastest-selling home or hybrid console in Japan and the United States. And then as of March this year, they've sold over 125 million units. So people will buy it either way. It was one of the coolest
things of its time. Like when it launched. Yeah. I didn't get it straight away because I was only 16 and I had no money. But when I saw it, I was like, this is so cool. I'm going to use this every single day when I finally manage to get one. And then obviously I don't. But, I was like, I'm going to take it with me on the train everywhere I go. I'm going to use it when I'm on the bus. I'm going to use it when I'm sat at home on the sofa. I'm going to use it everywhere. I'm going to take it to the coffee shop. I'm going to use it all the time. And then obviously, because I'm actually an adult now with like things to do, I don't do that. But when I was a teenager, that was like the coolest thing ever. Yeah, I was like, that's perfect. Yeah. That's exactly what I need.
Yeah. It is really interesting though, because I think you're right. And with this, especially with the new handheld consoles, the Steam Deck, the Ally, and there'll be new ones, Logitech G Cloud, and
don't talk about the Logitech G Cloud. We don't
Project Q, like all those sort of things. Nintendo has never been a company that release hardware that is on the absolute like edge of performance, and I don't think they will do it with the Switch 2 either. I think the Switch 2 will have mediocre specs at best, because that's they're going for similar to the way Valve marketed the Steam Deck. They're going for the wider range of people for the sort of budget handheld option, because that's the games that people enjoy. We've said before, like the mini games, and people who like Zelda don't just buy Switches, it's for everything else as well, like the
you
Mario
said it that
games
time. You said mini games, not me. You said it.
Mini games, yeah. And also, like, Mario, you don't need high-end hardware. Like, those sort of games, you don't really need it. So I think they just, it'll be difficult when they push the button for the Switch 2. It's going to be a very big decision in terms of how they do it, because it's a big risk to do it at this point, but they will have to do it at some point. But it would just be really interesting how they market it, what they call it, how they do. Just I wouldn't want to be deciding that kind of path, because, like you said, Jasmine, when that came out, that was like, oh my god, like they've just done something that no one else has done. This is like truly affordable handheld gaming. Now that's like, people have done that. We've had this for 7 years.
The thing as well. Truly affordable. I think this is the thing about Nintendo. Nintendo has always been like way more affordable as opposed to competition.
Yes, absolutely.
And I feel like they will stick with that, because that's always been, the sort of pride and joy of their consoles.
And the specs will reflect that as well. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that, like, obviously there's a reason why the PlayStation 5 costs as much as it does. There's a reason why the Xbox Series X costs as much as it does, because these are very powerful machines which are meant to provide you with like top end performance. And obviously some games recently haven't hit the mark. But that's not the fault of the console, and that's not the fault of the hardware. But the Nintendo Switch isn't designed to do that, which is how they keep the price of it so low. But I don't know, like, I'm a bit worried that given how consoles and other gaming hardware has gone in recent years and how expensive stuff has become, whether Nintendo will see that as an opportunity to cash grab a little bit and put the price of their consoles up, which I would be really upset with if they do.
Yeah. That just goes back to our point. Like, if you obviously watching the direct now, looking at any of those, I cannot think of one that would benefit from additional hardware. Looking at that, like one game that would take advantage of that.
They know their limits,
Yeah, and like that, I think that's the thing with Nintendo. It's like they've got to pick the right moment to launch the Switch 2, because they don't need to right now. They're in such a good place with it. They're not probably getting developers smashing down their door saying we need more power. Like the games that they're making, it's not really about that. So yes. But I feel like, how did we get onto the Switch 2? We were talking about the Nintendo Direct, and then we just flew on to the Switch 2.
We were speaking a little bit about how the Nintendo Direct felt like a bit end of lifey, right?
So yes, of course.
Your guys' opinion on whether or not you think the Switch 2 is actually, like, how successful it's going to be, and if you think it's coming soon. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some more specific games, and something that I'm really excited about, and I'm trying to find it by scrolling. Yeah, I'll share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to scroll. Oh, that's a new screen.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the...
Not Pikmin. I'm talking about Metal Gear Solid. Here we go.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about the Princess Peach teaser that they gave.
We will. That the unnamed Princess Peach game. But I'm really excited about this Metal Gear Solid trilogy collection.
There's Scott showing off his Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, here he is.
That he's got. Look how big that art book is.
Look how huge this thing is. It's 2 books.
Who needs that much art? Who needs it?
I've got like 3 more, and the other.
Have you looked at every single page in that book, Scott? Ever?
Yeah.
You're lying.
I don't think he is. I would bet that he has as well, to be honest. I would think so. We've got
greatest series of all time. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah. Rocking Gazki's in the chat. Has Redfall got a mention yet? It has now. Thank you, Aaron.
I could have said it when I was talking about games that haven't hit the mark.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. It's a shame you didn't review that, Aaron, because you could have given it a 2 out of 5. Missed that opportunity.
I didn't want to start bringing Redfall up again, but now that Aaron's done it, Redfall was really bad. Anyway,
Redfall's really bad. Yeah, carry on. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. I'm really excited about this Metal Gear Solid trilogy, because this brings me back to PS1, PS2 days. I'm really excited. I saw your reaction, Scott, so I sort of know how you're feeling, but give us a bit more of how you're feeling.
Wild to me that we have went this long without a console that has had this series on it. Like, it's been since the PS3 since we could play any of these games, and for games that are so iconic, like, it's probably the biggest franchise to just not have anything. So this looks like it's just going to be a port of the HD collection versions of 2 and 3, and then just a port of the PS1 version of Metal Gear Solid 1. But this is new. The
digital graphic novel.
The NES version of Metal Gear and Snake's Revenge, they weren't in that, so that's new for this. and these sort of are in there. I have looked on the website, and the pre-order bonus is music tracks, which is peculiar. But you know, I mean, what it's like 3 of the best games ever made.
Is Metal Gear Solid known for its soundtrack, or I feel like I've never heard anyone really talk about the Metal Gear Solid.
Very good soundtracks. It's
yeah, good soundtrack, but is it something that's very iconic? You know, like Legend of Zelda, you hear about like the soundtrack.
I mean,
of Legend of Zelda is like a really.
It
big
has iconic tunes.
Okay.
I don't know if it's got as many iconic tunes as Zelda, but I don't think anything really does.
I think I associate Metal Gear Solid with the sound effects, like when someone spots you and you have that sort of. Did you hear that noise then when it was like? Zoop?
I like that impression of the noise. You just started making a shriek sound.
Let me go. See if I can... It was at this point, wasn't it? There you go. You know that noise there, Jasmine?
Yeah.
Hang on, I'll turn it up for the benefit.
It's at the start of the trailer as well. If you want to go.
Is it at the start?
Additional
this one.
content includes.
You know that one?
Yeah, I hear that all the time. I didn't know that was from Metal Gear Solid. Yeah.
So that's when you get spotted by someone and then you have to.
Yeah, I hear that all the time.
So yeah, that's what I associate with Metal Gear Solid, but
that one sound effect.
Yeah, that one sound effect. But Scott, I wanted to ask. I've been completely out of the loop with Metal Gear Solid since the PS1 2 days. Why hasn't these come out on the PlayStation? Is there a internal reason why Konami not doing it for PS5?
No, this collection is coming for PS5. Yeah.
Oh, it is as well.
They announced this collection at the end of that Metal Gear Solid Delta trailer.
Right. Okay.
But
of course they did. Yeah, you're right.
Have a date at the time, so this is when it was only confirmed for PS5 then, and it didn't have a date. So now we know when it's coming out and what's.
Yeah. But why haven't we had one on PS4? Like, what's been going on?
I mean, there's all the drama with Konami and Kojima. And they're kind of falling out when Metal Gear Solid 5 came out. But yeah, I don't know, because that's free money. Same reason I don't get why. You know, we got like Castlevania collections, we got Contra collections, there's Mega Man collections. You know, this stuff is easy money. I don't.
Yeah. Why literally printing money? If they printed the box, it's printing money. Literally.
Because I'm going to buy it. I own.
I'm going to buy it. Yeah.
I own about 5 or 6 copies of Metal Gear Solid 3 as is. But am I going to buy this again?
Are they all different editions?
Original version of Snake Eater, Substance version of Snake Eater, which was a re-release, added a different camera, HD collection on 360, HD collection on PS3, HD collection on the Vita, and now this. So this could be my 6th version of Metal Gear Solid 3.
You sound crazy. You sound insane.
It is the greatest game of all time. I have no regrets. I own like
is that your favorite game of all time?
Yeah.
Oh, but you have 5 copies of Bayonetta. You
Yeah,
have so many copies of so many games. For what?
The Bayonetta one, I do not understand why I have 5 copies. I just somehow happened to buy 5 copies
Scott,
of Bayonetta.
they haven't just appeared at your front door.
I mean, some of them were free. The Wii U and Switch copies were free, sort of. You know, someone gifted me on PC, so that doesn't count. But yeah,
no, I kind of relate to that in terms of like, is it sort of a collection mentality where you get the collections because you want to be able to say like, oh, I've got every edition of this game, or I kind of associate with that a little bit. Yeah,
it's that or being lazy. So because like, you know, I could plug my 360 in, or I could just buy it again on the PS3.
Yeah.
What?
Scott's
made of money here. Oh, yeah, I'm too lazy to plug in my 360. I'll just buy the copy of the game again.
Also,
oh my gosh!
Play it on the I don't know, car. Let's say a car. That's probably nice. You know,
Jasmine, are you buzzed about this? Are you going to play
this?
Not
at all. Not at all.
Really?
I've never played a Metal Gear Solid game. Never been into Metal Gear Solid.
Really?
No, I'm not got nothing against it. I just never played it, so I don't really see myself playing these.
So just as a wee note here, they're selling Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 separately on the eShop.
Really?
$15.99 each. But then there's also the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection.
Isn't that what they announced?
Yeah, so you'll be able to buy the games separately, I guess. But even then, Metal Gear Solid 1's not there, so...
I don't think I feel about this. Maheen in chat has said, I'm going to wait for a proper remake to play Metal Gear Solid. How do you feel about that comment?
Agreed.
Yeah? Like a full-on, like, graphically, like...
I don't know. I mean, he's the same age as you, Jasmine. I don't know if this is like an age
not.
thing.
He is the same age as you, Scott.
There you
So
go.
he would have had a PS1.
Take it up with him. Don't start directing your anger at me.
This is
to
a
do
hell
with
of an
age.
episode.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I mean, it is kind of. People don't like to go and play old games. People, because everything gets remade now. Everyone's like, "Oh, just wait for the remake." Oh, no,
well, Scott, why would I play old games? I played Ocarina of Time, and Link's nose was literally a big triangle on a circle. Like, why would I play that if I can play something like that's got much better graphics, like Tears of the Kingdom? Like, why would I subject myself to that for what? So I can tell you,
the story is so good.
Yeah, but they remake it. They remade Ocarina of Time for the 3DS. I could just go and play that instead.
Yeah.
You know, like, they will remake it if that's what you're talking about.
mean,
but Scott's talking about, I'll just wait for them to remake it. Like, that's such a bad thing when it's not. It allows people to access the game who weren't able to access the game in the past without being subjected to hideous graphics.
You know what allows people to access the game that they haven't been able to access? Re-releasing the game. There is a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 in the GameCube, and you know what? It's not good. It's okay. They ruined it. The Metal Gear Solid 3 remake will probably do something wrong. I'm not... For someone who's like favorite game of all time is Metal Gear Solid 3, I'm terrified for that remake. That remake scares me, because what if they mess it up? This... At least with this, you can experience something the way it was intended. It's a piece of art you can watch and play. Like, you
I
can
don't really
watch
think
an
it's a
old
piece
movie.
of art. It's got 5 pixels on the screen. Like, I don't know what your definition of art is. But if they are willing to remake it and people are willing to buy it and play it, like myself, I like playing remakes. Why would I go back and subject myself to poorer graphics, poorer quality when we have hardware to support much better gameplay now? And obviously this isn't to do with like the story is probably fantastic, but if I can experience that amazing story on a better system with better graphics, why would I not do that? Why would I go back and subject myself to the ugly stuff just so I can say that I did? You know,
it's not about graphics. That's not.
But this is to do with nostalgia now for you guys. This is to do with nostalgia, and I don't have that.
No.
Yeah, that's
there you go.
Yeah.
I did not play Metal Gear Solid until I was an adult, so not really nostalgia. But no one's like, oh, they need to go and remake RoboCop. I mean, they did remake RoboCop, but no one's like, you don't hear this about movies. You don't hear this about, music. No one's like, go back and make an album unless you're Taylor Swift. But but
yeah, Will made that exact.
The quality of music and movies hasn't changed so dramatically in the past 20 years. 20 years ago, games were literally like so insanely different to what they are now.
Right.
Games that are running on Unreal Engine 5 right now, literally, Nathan sent me a video of F123 before he put the video review out. And looking at that, I spent ages looking at it, and then I spent ages searching to see if that was actually animated or not, or if that was face masking, or if that's real people, because it looks so stunning. It looks amazing. So if I can experience remakes that are like sort of made like that or that gorgeous, why would I not? This is to do with graphics. Like, this isn't to do with like gameplay, and it's I guess in some element they can make gameplay a little bit different in terms of like action mechanics and stuff like that. But in terms of story and stuff like that, when they're remaking stuff, it's all exactly the same. So what's the issue with them improving the graphics? I don't get why you have an issue with that.
They're not.
Scott hates happiness right now. He's like, no, people aren't allowed to enjoy games that are pretty.
No, I tell you what it is. They're not remaking Metal Gear Solid 1. So unless you want to wait for another 20 years or something, saying, I'm not going to play this, I'm going to wait until they eventually remake it. Yeah. It's just depriving yourself of one of the best games ever made on the slight chance they will make a remake.
Yeah, then I'll do that.
A remake that might end up being worse than the original anyway.
Wait, I'll do that.
That's not like people are so afraid of playing old games because it looks like bad.
But I'm not going to connect with Metal Gear Solid the same way that you've connected with it. It's not going to be my favorite game.
I think probably
unless you play it. That's my point.
I think there's a sort of a not to come back to this again, but the sort of the generational gap where I grew up with the N64, and when I first played Ocarina of Time, my experience of that was like, this is the best looking game I've ever seen. So that was how I looked at it, and then obviously I've grown up and played other things, and obviously I can look back on the Ocarina of Time and think, yeah, it's not as good graphically. But when the games that you were playing at the same age that I was, they already looked amazing at your
I wouldn't
age
say
at that
that.
point.
I wouldn't say that.
Much better than 64, though.
I played Super Mario 64 the other day. That was one of the first games I ever played, Super Mario 64. And I was like, oh my God, like when I was younger, this looked amazing. This was so cool. And now they're made of triangles. And so I completely get that. And I loved when they remade Super Mario 64 because it looked so much nicer. I didn't have to play with triangle feet.
That's a perfect example. Perfect example. Yes, they remade Super Mario 64. Guess what? It was a worse game. Super Mario 64 DS
no, it wasn't.
Is nowhere near
Super Mario
as good
64
as original
was
Super
one
Mario
of my
64.
favorite games. Super Mario 64 on the DS was one of my favorite games of all time. It was great. I loved it. I loved the remake. I loved being able to play it with much better graphics. It was great, and the multiplayer mode, great. You pick up your mate,
there we go.
Stamp on their head, and throw them.
Adam L in the chat, perfect. Another perfect example. GTA Vice City. It's a remake. It was terrible. I would rather play the PS2 version than whatever that was. So instead,
I didn't play GTA Vice City. I cannot comment.
But my point is, why are we so afraid of playing a game that came out in 1998 just because it looks a bit bad? It still plays good. It's still a good game.
But the issue isn't with playing old games. Why are you so upset that people want to wait for remakes?
Because it's not coming. Because
how do you know? Are you making it? How do you know? Has it
been announced? They're remaking 3.
Yeah, then I'll wait for 3 and then I'll play that. I don't get it. I don't get what the issue is.
It's really...
You just think that it's going to be bad because you have an attachment to.
No, because modern Konami has not put out a game since Metal Gear Survive, and guess what? That was terrible. So, like, of course, I don't have the highest of faith in modern Konami because to remake the best game of all time. If they were remaking Metal Gear Solid 1, I'd have more of a okay, let's see how this goes. But this is the chance to mess up like the peak. But my point isn't they shouldn't remake it. My point isn't remakes are bad. My point is, why would you deprive yourself of playing one of the best game series of all time?
Because I'm not going to think it's one of the best game series of all time because it's going to be ugly. It's going to be hideous.
You're not going to know unless you play it.
The whole time I'm going to play it and I'm like, oh my God, this is so ugly. Well, I just saw videos of it. I don't need to play it to know that that is hideous. And
if we pull that video back up, right, and we look at Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake.
Which one? This one? This one?
Yeah.
Here.
Scroll to the left and go to Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake.
This one.
Not that one. Metal Gear 2, not Metal Gear Solid 2. Nah, like go back to
even more.
This is the best game of all time, guys. This is it.
Well, this one isn't. This is one of the best games of all time, but this is
one of the best games of all time, guys. This is it. But this is what I'm saying. This looks so hideous by today's standards that this cannot be one of the best games of all time for me if I'm entering it now. If I played it back then, yeah, cool, nostalgia and whatever. Like for you, it's probably like, yeah, this is a great game because you played it back then, and this was actually like great graphics back then. If I enter this now and play this, what is this? They don't even have wrists. They just have elbows.
Game.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, if you keep going on the trailer, I'm trying to get to the point where.
Sorry.
Where do you pause?
Keep going.
No,
let me know when you pause.
Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Okay.
Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. I played that for the first time 1 year ago, and look how it looks. Look at how that looks. Does that look good?
This one.
No, it doesn't look good. Yeah.
This is a pixel game though. This isn't like a. It's different.
Zelda is a polygon game. It's not different at all. It's just an old game.
Yeah, but
I played this game last year, and guess what? It's great. Because
pixel games are always going to look like pixel games. Like there's a very small ceiling to how much they can advance the graphics of a pixel game. Cause it's just going to be a pixel game. They remake the old Pokemon games, and they look very similar to the old games that they had because they're just pixels. Because that's what they're meant to look like.
But they could remake this in the new engine and retell.
And then what? It's just going to be pixels. It's going to look exactly the same.
No, it's not.
So
because they could add
there's not
3D
like
models to it.
Yeah, but then
You
it's
can-
not a pixel game anymore. That's what I'm saying. If they're sticking it to be a pixel game, then it's going to be a pixel game. But okay, so if they're remaking the other games that we saw, those hideous ones, like why is that such an issue if I'm waiting for the remake of that to come out to play it? It's not going to be one of the best games of all time for me because it's hideous, Scott.
Because it's not coming. My point is,
You just said that Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is coming before Metal Gear Solid 1.
3 remake.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to wait for Metal Gear Solid 3 remake to come out so I can play it.
Why would you play a game starting at free? That's a different conversation.
Because I don't want to play that ugly
My
stuff.
point
It's
is,
the franchise for me.
My point is,
Like,
people. I get what you're saying. I don't agree with it. I get what you're saying. Of like, okay, I'll just wait until an updated modern version is out. Whatever. My point is, people treat old games like, it's this uninhabitable thing. People in 10 years are going to look at PS4 games and be like, that looks terrible.
yeah,
I'm not
so
gonna play
be
that.
it, because they will look terrible.
I'm not
going to
play
so
The Last
be
of
it.
Us.
So be it. Let them not play it. That's fine. The Last of Us isn't a life-changing experience. And for us right now, yeah, it's great. It's so cool that we get to watch The Last of Us. And, because they've made it into a TV show, we get to experience the remakes of the game. Yeah, and it's cool. And right now, in current time, it's amazing to experience it. But in 10 years' time, people aren't going to look back and think, my life is going to change if I play The Last of Us. That's not how people are going to think. It's just right now, as games come out, they feel life-changing in that moment. You played Metal Gear Solid 3 and it was amazing. It was great for you back then. I'm not going to play that version of Metal Gear Solid 3 and think, wow, that was so good. That's my best game ever. I'm going to go and buy 6 copies of it.
I played Metal Gear Solid 3 10 years after it came out. Like, I played PS2 games last year that are better than games that came out last year. It's not like... I don't know. I don't even have the energy anymore. There are games on the PSP that I have played in the last year that I have liked more than some games that came out last year.
That's fine. That's your opinion.
The Thing, the 1984 movie The Thing, is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
That's fine. That's your opinion. I'm not going to go and watch a movie from the 1980s and feel like, oh wow, that was amazing. That was great. I'm not going to feel like that. And I'm not going to play a game on the PSP and think, wow, that was the greatest game of all time. That's just not, and that's okay for people to do. It's fine for people to wait for a remake of a game to come out before experiencing it. Remakes make games more accessible. They bring the franchise to so many more people. If The Last of Us didn't get remakes, so many people wouldn't have played it. Resident Evil 4, a game that you gave, Resident Evil 4 remake, you gave that a 5 out of 5. Right, and if Resident Evil 4 remake wasn't made, I would have never even known about the Resident Evil series, and I never would have ever touched it. But because there's a remake of it, it introduced the game to so many more people, and people were actually able to play it and not feel like they were subjecting themselves to hideous graphics just to be able to enjoy this amazing game.
Did you read the Resident Evil 4 remake review? Where I say, this is a good game, still wouldn't recommend playing it and not playing the original Resident Evil 4. It's a different beast. The original Resident Evil 4 still holds up.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that the Resident Evil 4 remake isn't still an amazing title and didn't make the game more accessible to so many people.
Everyone is the comments are on me. You're on me. These are acting like I don't want remakes. I don't think remakes are good. I think remakes are fine. I'm just saying people need to be more open to experience old games because it's a part of the medium. It's a part of, people go back and watch old movies because they're meant to be great.
Yeah, but they don't have to subject themselves to playing old games if they don't want to. Like, if someone doesn't have to go and play Metal Gear Solid 3 the way that it is right now if they don't want to. They can wait for a remake, that's fine.
They can.
Yeah, that's fine.
But, again, you can wait for a remake. I'm just saying people are missing out if they're waiting on remakes that are not coming.
That's okay for you to think that, because I don't feel like I'm missing out by not playing a game. I don't feel like other people are missing out by not playing some of my favorite games. That's okay.
I think what we've decided is that everyone is different and everyone likes different things. And if Scott likes playing the older games rather than remakes, that's fine. That's how he consumes games. If Jasmine likes playing the remakes, that's fine too. Everyone enjoys things in different ways. Also, not everyone, sorry to break this to you, Scott, not everyone thinks that Metal Gear Solid 3 is the best game ever made.
Thank you very much.
There are different opinions out there. Yeah, in your opinion, they might be. But not many people... Some people might think that, but not everyone, right? So, yeah, there's only one answer. That answer is everyone's different, and this is why gaming is for everyone, because there are remakes, there are originals, there are other things. There's so many different genres of games that are there for people to enjoy, and I'm just so glad that we've got two people on the podcast who are passionate about games, just in different ways. So thank you both for your passion.
Ruin my credibility and destroy what we've just talked about for the last hour. That Super Mario RPG remake looks pretty good.
Should we go and have a look at it? Let's have a look at it, shall we?
It was pretty good. I don't know.
Whereabouts was it?
When they first started showing it, they showed
Was
like
it
the
at the
Princess
start?
Peach. I don't think it was at the very start, but they were showing like Princess Peach and just sitting in the field, and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be something to do with Princess Peach. This is going to be some type of where she's the main character of a title.
Oh, this one.
But then you said straight away, oh yeah, it's a remake of the RPG, and I was like, oh yeah, he's right, and I was really disappointed.
But then again, this still looks good. I just never played it. Like, I wish they kind of...
I thought this was going to be a Princess Peach game.
I do wish they kind of kept the kind of claymation art style for this, I will say. But I'm sure this will be a very good remake. I'm sure this will introduce the game to a lot more people. I do think remakes are good. I'm just saying we should be scared of old games. But yeah, this looks good. I don't know. I just wanted to point out that I thought this looked good because we just spent an hour arguing about remakes. I was like,
I can't actually remember how long it was. I was just trying to make myself busy with doing other things.
It was at least a solid 20 minutes. So
I was so close to opening up Slack and getting onto Trello and getting on with stuff. But anyway, yeah, this looks pretty good. I don't think I'll buy it, but I think it looks pretty good.
I don't really get this.
When's it out? Is it
I
November?
can understand why other people would like it, but
I think we're about to find out.
I think it was October, 20th of October.
No, is that not Mario?
17th of
November.
I've just skipped all the way to the end. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's the same day.
Oh my god.
17th of November.
This is one thing I will say about Nintendo Direct that I really enjoyed. Like, everything had release dates. Like, we know when stuff is coming.
Yeah.
Whereas with a lot of the other games that Xbox and PlayStation were showcasing, we had no idea when they were actually coming. It was just sort of like, coming next year. And I feel like that's just really disappointing to get hyped up for a game and have no idea when you could even possibly be seeing it.
Yeah.
Whereas with all of these, you know when it's coming. And
however,
it's something to aim for.
The notable exception to that was the Princess Peach game, which they said is coming next year.
They didn't really show that. They just showed like a 10-second clip of that.
It was right at the end, wasn't it?
No, that was around the time of the RPG thing, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
Was it? I thought it was near the end.
Did they not show RPG, then show Luigi's
We're about to find out, guys.
Peach?
But I really hope it's a Super Princess Peach remake because I loved that game. I don't think it will be because I don't think there is a lot of demand for that game to be remade. I don't think it was
YouTube
extremely popular when it was out.
I just feel like that maybe has some dated elements that maybe would not go down so well today, I guess.
Oh, here we go.
Because was the crux of that game not, lol, women are so emotional? Was that not the whole game?
Not particularly. Like, it was an aspect of like, oh, she can use her emotions to...
The femme fatale thing, is that what it sort of plays on?
I haven't played the game. I've just
she gets like superpowers where she can like get angry and then stomp across different landscapes, or she can get she can start crying and then loads of water falls down. So I kind of get where you're coming from, but I don't think it was like a big focus of the game where it was like, oh, she's a very emotional person. Maybe I'm not remembering it right. I was
I haven't played it.
I was a kid when I played it, so
It says brand new game here, so this is not a remake.
Yeah. So
This,
I don't think they ever will remake it, and I'm really upset about that.
I feel like this must be the team who did
You can play it though.
the Yoshi
Play the
games.
original one.
I have the original one on my DS downstairs, but it's just really ugly. Yeah, it ruins the. Gigi said earlier in the chat, like revisiting old games when you have so much love for them sometimes can ruin the nostalgia you have.
Yeah,
they look really ugly.
I had exactly that with GoldenEye.
Yeah.
The GoldenEye game, when I used to play that as a kid, that looked amazing to me. And then I played it and I was like, what?
Yeah,
They're all blocky? What is going on? Why are they so blocky?
You don't realise it when you're younger because that's what's normal. All the
and
games
then the controllers, like the actual, just even the inputs for the controller, like the control scheme was just everywhere. Like because I'm used to obviously the back triggers or something like along the back to fire. And I think fire was like A or B or something. It's like a really weird, like, how did we even do this when we were kids? So I think again, I don't want to go back to the older conversation, but all Scott's points are valid, but your points are all also as valid, Jasmine, as well. It just depends on what games you. No, let's
not get into it. I just want to say, I'm not saying everything holds up. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying things shouldn't get remade. It's fine. Playing a remake
But you're
is
frustrated that people aren't playing the games because they don't want to go back and play games that might not look as good as the remake.
You don't really get remakes of movies that are just the same movie again. I guess is.
Yeah, but like it's because like graphics and stuff doesn't matter. If I start talking about it, we'll get back into it. Anyway, I am really excited for this game because I feel like Princess Peach doesn't get typically, as you know, in gaming fashion, the damsel in distress doesn't get her own title very often and you don't get to play as her and stuff, which is a little bit disappointing. So when they do release games where you can do that, I obviously get really excited, which is why I was kind of hoping that Zelda would be a playable character or something in Tears of the Kingdom, or I don't know, in some element you could play as her somewhere. But
that was rumored, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was really excited about that, but then it didn't happen, so it was a bit disappointing. But yeah,
Adamel in the chat, what about a Dragon Ball Z what is it? But I can't actually cut off.
We actually
remake. Do you want that as a remake, Scott? Or
we actually talked about this in the
we did.
We did. Yeah, the other stream. I didn't play 2. I played 3. I love 3, but I can go back and play 3. Also, they remastered Budokai 3 and they took out some of the music. So, you know, PS2 version still the best version.
So we've now got 8 minutes to talk about Final Fantasy 16 and XDefiant. Should we get into it?
Final Fantasy 16 good, XDefiant okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's about the long short of it. I know
don't know anything about Final Fantasy 16.
I don't know anything about Final Fantasy because I'm a complete Final Fantasy virgin. So
same, absolutely same. I
just find it hilarious that there's a main character called Clive. I don't know why that's funny to me.
I do kind of find that funny as well. Like I felt when Aaron, who reviewed it for us, first got access to the game and told us that, I felt bad for laughing, but I was laughing. I'm really sorry to anyone out there called Clive. Like I'm sure you can make that into a majestic name somehow, you know. But it's just, oh yeah, that's Clive from down the road, you know.
So,
like
yeah, I know. But yeah, Final Fantasy 16. The reviews are out now. Our video review and written reviews out on the Mirror Gamer website and also on the Mirror Gamer YouTube channel, which is what you can see now. Aaron Potter, a game content creator, gave it 5 out of 5. He called it inspiring, I think, and talked about how the new real-time combat mechanics have sort of redefined the genre because the Devil May Cry guy has been brought in to sort of fix the combat, and he talked about how good that is as well. What I didn't realise about Final Fantasy as a franchise is that every story is different, which sort of made me want to jump into different ones. And I may well go back and play some of the older ones. We'll wait and see. But Scott, as someone who's played Final Fantasy 16, do you like it?
So I'm not terribly far in yet. So I can't speak to how the story ends or how. I think I'm still firmly in the first act. But so far so good. You know, like I I also not really a huge Final Fantasy person. The only ones I've ever beaten are 7 Remake. That might be it. I've played a lot of them, but I don't think I've beaten many of them. But you say the words Devil May Cry to me, and I'm in. Like, we're talking the man who did the combat for Devil May Cry and the man who did the combat for Dragon's Dogma doing the combat for this. It's like, okay, I'll play this anyway because that's the type of game I like. I like a good action game, you know? And he was out this week saying, this is my masterpiece. This is my peak design. This is my best combat. Maybe don't necessarily agree with that, but in terms of like, you know, RPGs, solid combat. You can do a bunch of combos in it. That's kind of what I was mainly in for. So I apologize if I'm not giving you the full breadth of what Final Fantasy 16 has to offer. The story's a bit RPG-ish, to put it politely, to start off with. It's very, you know, you're playing the game for about 2 minutes and then you're stuck in a cutscene for 40. But it does open up a bit.
So we're just watching the combat mechanics here.
Yeah.
I wanted to, as someone who loves Devil May Cry, does this feel like a good step forward for the Final Fantasy franchise, the way the combat's been done in this game?
I mean, as someone whose opinion is they should just make every game Devil May Cry, very happy they've made this Final Fantasy game Devil May Cry. I'm not seeing this power yet, so...
One thing I have always thought about Final Fantasy games, I've never played them, so I might be wrong, but just from looking at them, is that they look very just like hack and slash, like kind of like Elden Ringy. But this one actually feels like there's more to it than just spamming whatever your hack and slash button is. So I think that is a bit interesting. But I don't know how much of the game is actually about combat as opposed to story, like you're saying with like cutscenes and stuff. It feels like very, very story led, and like combat is a bit more on the back burner.
I mean, again, I've not played a lot of Final Fantasy games, so I could be wrong here, but this definitely seems like more of a combat focus than most. Which, I mean, if you bring the Devil May Cry guy in, of course that's what you're gonna get, you know. But I don't think
a shot every time Scott says Devil May Cry.
It's the part of this game I care about. I don't necessarily think it needs to be more involved. Like, you can do like air combos and juggles and all that, and you know, play it like one of those action games. Play it like a Bayonetta of sorts. You know, you won't need to do that. It is still an RPG. You can spam that slash button and use your powers every so often and dodge, and you're fine. You know, it's not like you're not going to have to get as in depth as you do in Metal Gear Rising. But you can have fun with it, you know.
Yeah. Aaron says in his review, Clive's primary way of trying to try and save the world is via combat, and it's in this area where long-time Devil May Cry fans will feel right at home. Ryota Suzuki's involvement in Final Fantasy 16 has been well documented, and his influence can be well and truly felt in the moment-to-moment skirmishes. So it does feel like combat is, you know, plays a big role in these games where I agree with you, Jasmine. I thought it was more sort of story led, like hack and slash a bit, cutscene, hack and slash a bit, cutscene. So it's kind of nice to see there's a bit more combat involved.
I mean, the demo's out, so I can kind of talk to it a little bit. The first 2 hours are slow. The first 2 hours are a lot of cutscenes. That demo is like the first 2 hours of the game, and I think there's maybe about like half an hour of gameplay in that.
I'm guessing it's just to set up the story, right? It's surely not going to be that bad as you get into it more.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of opening up where I'm at in the game. I think I'm maybe at the end of like Act 1. I've had the first kind of like massive boss fight, because that's one of the big gimmicks for this one. Like what were summons in the old games, where you can like summon the giant monsters to do loads of damage. There's things called dominants who hold these summons inside their hearts or wherever it is, and you can turn into these giant monsters, and it's like kaiju battling. I've done the first kaiju battle, which is also fun. It's very much just like a big cutscene, really. But yeah, like it's an RPG. It's a JRPG. It's of course there's going to be tons of exposition and story. Like I know you don't like Persona, but the first 3-4 hours of a Persona game are slow. They are just.
I never said I don't like Persona. I've just never played it.
You don't like Persona.
I've just never played it. I didn't even know what it was until like maybe last year. So
well, it's a good thing there's a remake of Persona 3 coming out.
I really like the fact that you can play as like giant monsters. This looks so cool.
Yeah,
like, look at that.
So that's only shown up once for me. It's kind of like a Power Rangers type thing where you have like
yeah,
with someone where it's like an actual action game, and then you have this show up after where they turn into their giant monster and you turn into your giant monster and scrap. It's kind of like that. The giant monster fights are very cutscene heavy. It's like there is controls, but it's like a lot of like press square at the right time and you grab the other monster by the head and I don't know, get a headbutt or something like that. But they're fun. But yeah, it's again not the best Final Fantasy head to talk about this game. I'm talking about it fully as someone who just likes good action games. And from what I've played so far, it's a good action game. There's that elephant again. Oh God, get away!
Yeah, Miffy, Matt has been on it with the short form content, obviously there. So great job with that, man, getting that out so quickly. But yeah, I mean, if you want to check out Final Fantasy 16, you can do on our YouTube channel, thanks to Aaron Potter's review. And if you want to read the review, you could do so at mirror.co.uk/gaming, and you'll find the review on there. We'll end with XDefiant. The beta opens at 6. It looks pretty good. Let's see what changes they've integrated since the first closed beta. So this is an open beta this evening. We'll probably stream that at some point this week. So get subscribed to see that a bit later this week. And that's about all I'm gonna say about XDefiant because we're already an hour and a half in. We spent an hour and 15 minutes debating retro versus modern games, the graphics of it. But I enjoyed every second of it because I had a bit of a chat, had some chocolate, measured a few of my monitors to make sure they were right size, and measured the camera and stuff, and had a drink and had a.
What did you do with those measurements, Nathan? I want to know why. You know,
I was just bored. Like I was just like doing. I just saw I've got a tape measure here. I thought, you know what? I'll just measure stuff.
Right. Okay.
It's fun. Just to save me fall asleep. Not that what you said was boring. Just that I just any time I get a spare minute, I might
measure stuff.
Might as well have a sleep. Well, it's just right in front of me, so it just felt like the natural thing to do.
Right,
But I wanted to say thank you so much for both of you for your opinions on this week's show. It's been really nice to hear every opinion. Jasmine, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Scott, same to you. Thank you so much for joining us and for doing the Nintendo Direct with me as well.
I'll never be back after today. I'm going to get off this call and it's going to be like, never come back.
Scott has retired from streams. No, but I think where you're both coming from, you're both coming from a good place. You both love your games. You just love them in different ways. So let's finish on a nice end point. Your points are very valid, both of you, and thanks for being on today's show.
Thank you for having me.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see you next week on the Mirror Gamer Walkthrough, the weekly gaming news show, 4 p.m. BST every Wednesday. But we've got a few live streams before then, so please get subscribed. Bell notification, like our videos if you do, because it does help with the channel as well. But that's been all from us today. We hope you have a lovely Wednesday evening, and we'll see you next week on the Mirror Gaming Walkthrough. See you later. Bye bye.